In all, 6 officials who once held high-ranking posts at the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and the State Department, a privilege that the president says they have chosen to exploit.
They politicize and in some cases monetize their public service and security clearances, making baseless accusations of improper contact with Russia or being influenced by Russia against the president is extremely inappropriate. And the fact that people with security clearances are making these baseless charges provides inappropriate legitimacy to accusations with zero evidence.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum in New York. This story begins with Senator Rand Paul, fresh off his meeting with the president discussing this idea. I spoke to him moments ago. Senator, good to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. Tell me about your conversation with the president about this.
Well, you know, I told the president in private what I've been saying in public, that I think there's a great danger to having talking heads on TV who are ex-CIA agents and still have classified clearance. There's a real danger that they might inadvertently reveal classified information. And, you know, John Brennan's got a history of this. Back in 2012, when we were discussing, you know, we discovered the underwear bomber, John Brennan at that time briefed ex-CIA agents who were retired but still had top secret clearance. He briefed them and said, oh, don't worry, the U.S. has someone inside. We have inside control. Well, then one of these ex-CIA agents went on television and said, oh, yeah, we have a double agent and nobody needs to worry. And it's like, whoops, the double agent was still there. So John Brennan's already been involved when he was on the inside, leaking information to people who still had top secret clearance, who were now talking heads. John Brennan leaked information that almost cost the life of a double agent. This is 4 years ago now. He should have been fired for that, but he wasn't fired by President Obama because I think he was a partisan. But now he's a talking head on the outside saying that basically President Trump should be executed. That's what we do for treason. And so, yeah, I'm very concerned about him having privileges because of his past history, but I would make it more universal. I don't think that ex-CIA agents of any stripe who are now talking heads should continue to get classified information. I think it's wrong.
So I guess that's, you know, the main difference in what you're saying. So you're suggesting that this should be a blanket treatment for all. So, you know, some people are pointing to, for example, Mike Flynn, who had security clearance and, you know, chanted "lock her up" during the campaign. So you're talking about a blank. Is that what the president is talking about here? Because his critics are saying that what he wants to do is create an enemies list and that he wants to shut these people up. Here's Senator Hirano. Let me just show you what she tweeted out. She said, "This is what totalitarianism looks like." So why is she not wrong?
I think that's a little bit overwrought. No one's talking about limiting anyone's speech. So an ex-CIA agent can get out there and say incredibly stupid things like the president is treasonous. Yes, no one's going to stop John Brennan from saying that. No one stops him from taking millions of dollars to say such horrendous things. But should he still get classified information? I mean, I would think that, you know, if you're a soldier or you're the head of the CIA, basically you have allegiance to the commander-in-chief. The commander-in-chief makes decisions. If you don't like them, you can resign, but he's no longer in government. He should not be getting classified information. He also has a history of leaking classified information that endangered agents in the field and almost got an agent killed.
All right, so you're referring to John Brennan, and that's what you referred to originally, but you saw the White House today. They added a lot of people to that list: Susan Rice, Michael Hayden, McCabe, Comey, and according to what they're saying now, James Comey and Andrew McCabe do not even have classified clearance. They do not have that kind of security clearance. So would you expand the list to include Michael Hayden? James Clapper, would he be on your list as well?
Yeah, I would not probably even name names. I would probably have it as a universal policy that when you leave, the only time I can think of a reason why you would want to keep this would be in a transition when you're still briefing people and you're sitting down with the next administration. I would probably just go one step beyond and not let any retired officials go on television that still have classified security clearance.
So how serious is the president about pursuing this? Because they said, you know, they want to look into the avenues that exist to pull these clearances. What was your impression when you were in there with him about what the time frame is for making this happen and how determined he is to do it?
I think there's a great deal of resolve because I don't think we should reveal secrets to people who are calling the commander-in-chief treasonous. I don't think there's many people in America who are going to disagree with that judgment, that we would continue to give secrets to a person calling the president treasonous. So I do think that the American people are going to agree with him on this. And I would probably just go even further and say that really ex-CIA agents, once retired, should no longer have top secret clearance.
All right. You know, in terms of, did the president, just in terms of the chicken and egg on this, was it your idea initially, or did you talk to the president about it? And, you know, did you say, I'm going to, you know, I'd like to bring this up, I'm going to start pursuing this?
You know, I've been upset about John Brennan's remarks for a long time, but, you know, I've also been upset for him from the very beginning. I filibustered originally his nomination back in 2012, 2013, so I've never been a big John Brennan fan. You remember also that John Brennan was involved with hacking into the Democrats' computers when they were doing the research into torture and waterboarding. They illegally, and he eventually apologized, not before sort of lying at first and saying that they didn't do it. But John Brennan has a very, very sketchy history of doing things and abusing power, so he needs to not be getting any information, because I think he has a history of doing things for partisan reasons and also things that the CIA is not supposed to do, which is spy on senators and on their computers.
What did the president say about Brennan?
I think he's not real happy with Brennan and the others for basically, I mean, does anybody remember 5 or 10 years ago when people retired from the CIA, they might go on television, but they sort of act like statesmen. They acted like retired statesmen, and they would weigh in on affairs from 60,000 feet. But you didn't have them saying, rah, 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 vote Democrat. You didn't have them calling the president words like disgusting and disgraceful.
No, absolutely not.
And so this is so over the top that something's got to be done, and these people do not need to be privy to secrets, because they might be using these secrets for partisan purposes. They are nakedly partisan, and John Brennan should not get anywhere within 10,000 yards of the government. He should have a restraining order.
Wow, those are very strong words. Would that apply to, for instance, Robert Gates, who, you know, worked for Democrats and Republicans? He wrote a book where he said some pretty strong things about President Obama in terms of his confidence in his ability to lead. So would you include him on a list like that?
What I would do is probably try not to make it individuals. I probably think the best way to do this, and the White House may well decide this. I don't know what they will decide. That's why I think they'll probably look through how something can be rolled out. I think they believe that these people should no longer get information, but sometimes it's better to have a policy that doesn't have a name, that basically says those who are retired lose their clearance.
But that's not what Sarah Huckabee Sanders did today, Senator. She was very specific, and she named specific individuals who have been incredibly critical of the president.
I don't disagree with it, and I think it can be ad hoc as well. And I think John Brennan has indicated he should not have clearance. So I think you can also have individual reasons why individuals should have their clearance.
Those individuals say that we're living in unprecedented times, and that is what has provoked them to be so critical and so outspoken with the kind of language that you talk about. What do you say to them about that?
I think they're deranged. It's Trump derangement syndrome. People saying, oh, no, there's not going to be democracy. When did President Trump come out against democracy or voting? I mean, these things are so over the top. I mean, most Democrats in Congress were for engagement with Russia under President Obama. Now, to a person, they act as if you're anything short of wanting war with Russia, that you're not doing enough. Every day they want new sanctions, this and that. And it's like, do they not remember that even though Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire, he sat down with Gorbachev and he didn't hurl epithets at Gorbachev? They had a reasonable conversation, and because they did, we had nuclear arms reductions, and it was a huge step forward for world peace. That can happen again, but not if we're deranged by politics.
All right. Well, one last unrelated question. I know that you all received the documents from Brett Kavanaugh on Friday. Did you have a chance to look at them, and how will you vote?
We've been reviewing them for some time now, and I'm going to meet with Brett Kavanaugh tomorrow. I have an open mind. I'm undecided. I am very concerned, though, about the Fourth Amendment. I do not believe that you can have a blanket exception to the Fourth Amendment for national security. The Fourth Amendment was meant to limit the government, and if the government just says, oh, we're going to do this for national security, and there's an exemption to the Fourth Amendment, that's very, very troubling. So we're going to have, I hope, a spirited discussion about the Fourth Amendment, and we'll see where the chips lie at the end.
We will look forward to that. Senator, always good to see you. Thank you very much for being here tonight.